Thank you for auditing the unedited, always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who is going to be reviewing the album Kaytraminé by Kaytraminé. And actually, this video is sponsored. Ask your doctor about Kaytraminé, the 24-hour non-drowsy allergy solution. Don't let pollen spoil your beautiful summer. Take the once-a-day Kaytraminé. That's a bad joke. I had that joke all written. Tell me in the comments if that joke was as bad as it now appears to be. I don't edit, so I'm going to let that one fly. That joke was an example of a simple idea executed poorly. And to the contrary, I think that Kaytraminé's album is a simple idea executed extremely well and executed with a high amount of sort of nuance that only gets better each time you listen. When I think about what this album reminds me of, it reminds me most of Silk Sonic. Remember that album from last year? You know, where you had two artists collaborate who were both known in their circles, although one was definitely bigger than the other, who made just a total banger of a summer album that pays homage to several genres? Well, this album's totally different. This is two artists collaborating, both known in their circles, although one is bigger than the other, who made a summer album that is an absolute banger and an homage to a couple of different genres. Now, where Silk Sonic was, Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak sort of at a higher level, it was a very similar feeling to me because it was great 70s and soul and disco. Whereas Kaytraminé, it feels like it's this real effort of making a summer album from the cover to the name, to a lot of the themes, to some of the soundscapes. It is trying to be a summer album, which, thank you, Kaytraminé. I get so sick of people who release summer albums in August. You release summer albums in May. They got the idea, right? But what's really interesting is that it's this weird, nice mishmash of sort of 90s rap, Pharrell, just like everything that Pharrell does, including the 90s rap that he made, and the sort of current rebirth of house moment. But all of those things put together sound kind of lame if I just say them, but it's the quality of Aminé and Kaytranada, because it's Canada, right? Isn't that why he's Tranada? Kaytranada, that make it so good. It's weird though because Aminé, his album in 2020, Limbo, was in my opinion one of the best rap albums of that year. I absolutely loved it. Now, I'm an always positive new music review show. I did not review 2.5. Now, that was a betrayal on levels that no one has ever seen before. I really did not like that album, so I didn't review it. To me, it was lacking a lot of lyrical interest, a lot of the thematics that I found interesting, a lot of sort of moral ambiguity, social ambiguity. There's a kind of stylistic fluidity in Limbo, and it was just all too light. But what if you took the things I liked about Limbo, mated those with the things that I didn't like about 2.5, then you'd have this sort of surprisingly beautiful baby of Kaytraminé. It lacks much of what I like about Limbo still. Like there was this sort of path that seemed to be that he was going on, sort of, I don't know, just a kind of pop conscious rap, which I love seeing, like Vince Staples or Denzel Curry, the ability to be pop while also have some kind of self-reflection. So it's not really continuing that direction, but in reality, it's just so fun, it's so light, it's so breezy, it's so Kaytraminé that it's okay. And I apologize for the light right now. This is terrible for a summer album. It is about to rain here in Rochester, New York. There is what you call a gloaming. So, have you subscribed yet? Have you smashed the like bucket? Are you still trying to forgive my joke about one-a-day Kaytraminé? And what really elevates this project, and this shouldn't be a surprise, is Kaytranada's production. He's a great producer. Everything I've heard by him is interesting and well done. I particularly liked his Intimidate EP from last year, especially the song Pay for Haiti with Makami. He's very capable of making interesting, well-nuanced beats where just the more you listen, the more you get out of them. But let's get to an example. Let's get to a stamp from this album with the track Who He Is, which has all the highs and the lows of the project. You can click above the, what is this, Bird of Paradise. Hey, it's a summer plant. Above the Bird of Paradise, which doesn't bloom in Rochester, New York. Every day is like Sunday. Click above the Bird of Paradise to hear the song Who He Is. Now it starts off with a quote from Puffy P. Diddy, Sean Combs, Sean Puff P. Diddy, Puff Puff Puffy, a live quote of him saying, "I'm not with this standing around looking cool-ish. I want you mother effers to jump up and jump the F around." And that's a sort of thesis statement of this album. We're not going to stand around. We're not going to look cool. We are going to jump around. And then we're provided with this beat, which is, it has to be intentional, an echo, if not an interpretation, almost a cover of Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See by Busta Rhymes. There's only 3 years left. There's only negative 23 years left. That dude loved the millennium. It was funny being a Busta Rhymes fan in the late 90s, because like you sort of wanted the world to end just to justify the amount of times he explained to you how many years there were left. But, like, this is that kind of 90s feel. So we have sort of a puffy build-up with a Busta-style beat. And again, that idea sounds like it's going to be just simple imitation, simple pastiche. But it's not pastiche. It's a really great new song. Very charismatic rhyming, very catchy chorus. Just this slinky, cool underwater beat. There is one element that is in this song that is not followed up on, which is kind of an old school ha 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 in the back. And this track ends with sort of what sounds like an old school live recording. I wish there was more like old school, like pre-83 rap style stuff here, but there's in there. Then we get this cool whispering rap style by Aminé. Is he a good rapper? Could you tell me in the comments, is he a good rapper? I mean, part of what I think makes him so interesting is his ability to be a rapper and an R&B singer, But I can't figure out if he's good. I'm the hot shot, this a drop top, how you talking about all that ish, but you not hot. Adam never took a bite, unlike the laptop. Kaytraminé, make a mother effer heart stop. Like this could be intentionally cheesy, like sort of an intentionally retro sounding 90s style rhyme setup. I don't know. But like Adam never took a bite, unlike the laptop. His real name is Adam, or his first name is Adam. So it's like the laptop has an apple with a bite on it. It's like a reference to Adam and Eve, but it doesn't mean anything. It's a reference that is hollow, right? There's not like some like, oh, this is what he's saying. He's just like, Apple, Adam, laptop. There's this beautiful bit where in the chorus we just hear someone go, everybody jest. And the whole thing sounds so Pharrell. Pharrell is all over the place on this album. He's actually on the album, which we'll see soon, but he's all over the place sort of spiritually. This really feels like it's trying to not just get a sort of breezy summer feel, but a breezy summer Pharrell-y feel. And then we get this end of the chorus, which is a good example of the positive sides of his rapping. Aminé living where the coochie live, and if it wasn't me, they still be like who he is. That kind of playfulness that he has in that rhyme with this title, Who He Is. I love this playfulness of him. And then we get the downfall of the second verse after that great catchy chorus. There's so many sex lyrics on this thing, and if it's funny because I don't do drugs, but I can listen to specific drug references. I can listen to all the details of sativa strains, despite the fact I don't smoke weed, and I don't get that bored. And I love, sex is an awesome, super wonderful thing. Put that on a t-shirt. Professor Skye says, sex is a super wonderful, awesome thing. Big fan. All my life, I've been a big fan. But I hate hearing about it. I don't want to hear... I'm one of the few men who know where the clit is. Oh, thank you. I'm one of the few men who know how to make you finish. It's okay. And you know what it is? Even though Professor Skye says that sex is a beautiful, wonderful thing, I'm still from New England. I'm still an old wasp, so I guess I still feel like, we simply do not bring the issues of the boudoir into the control room. Although, I do like it sometimes. Like, I love your birthday suit, F curiosity. Like, that's great. That's great to say that, like, he likes nudity. He likes not being curious what someone's body looks like. He likes seeing it. That's actually an interesting turn and even potentially sort of a call for intimacy. That is one weird thing about this album. There's a lot of references to sex, but then there's also a lot of references to intimacy. So, there you go. Next song is Let's Talk About It featuring Freddie Gibbs. His first name... His nom de plume is Freddie. Freddie. Freddie Gibbs. Another kind of stutter beat. It really fits into the last song. Kind of hazy xylophone. This cool extended descending bass line. Really, just Kaytraminé's production is just so awesome. It's so fine. You know, fine. That's the word, fine. Just like, very Pharrell-like again. More sex lyrics. And then Freddie's fine. Like, probably my biggest issue on this album is that there's a fair number of guest verses or guest appearances. And exactly one of them is like, good. Most of them are sort of like, yeah, like it's an okay Freddie verse. Freddie, Freddie, does not start with S. When I had my baby, I effed all the nurses. That is the weirdest flex because, like, you have a lot of nurses when you have a baby. And nurses are like flight attendants. The image sort of in popular culture is of a certain kind of person. But, like, nurses are just like women. Like, you'll have nurses who are, like, 70 years old. I mean, it's cool, man. I think it's cool. I think it's cool. Because if you ever imagine, next time you have a baby, imagine that you're Freddie Gibbs trying to be like, hey, Gertrude, give me your number. When you're done cleaning that bedpan, and when you go home and when you help out with the grandkids after dinner, I need to meet up with you because my name is Freddie Gibbs with an FR. Next song is Forever for Eva. Speaking of which, AVAA is what you say if you like my videos and you want a heart, guaranteed heart from Professor Skye every time you have anywhere in a comment. AVAA, just that's a little trick. That's a little cheat code if you want to get a heart from me. You can just say AVAA or you can have a comment. And this actually has Pharrell, who's been around in spirit, live and in the flesh. This is sort of like a house-style drum beat. I love the production on this. I just want to like crawl into this production. It's like almost like a scratch sounding on this word forever. Oh, it's just beautiful. It's like he's trying to show off. It sounds to me like Pharrell's in the room and he's like, all right, well, I got to bring my absolute Kaytraminé and the A game, and he does. Y'all switched in sides like Stacey Dash. Aminé does have a very good punchline game. I will say that. But he's still right there with a lot more gross sex lyrics, which I'm not going to say. And the chorus is just Pharrell saying this means forever, but it works, and it's nice, although Aminé often will sing lines on other songs where you're like, oh, did they get Pharrell for that too? Next song's called Westside. I don't know why it's called that. He's from Portland. Is there like a west side of Portland? I don't know. Or maybe Westside is Portland itself. I don't know. This almost has like a old school Bulls intro. So I think it's the Alan Parsons Project is the bam, 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 bam. And now from University of North Carolina, that sort of pump up song, which is also like used by Puffy, and that kind of pump up like tinkling sound that was used by the Bulls as a warm up song is also something, the kind of atmosphere that Puffy often used when finding producers to get his albums to have that kind of epic feeling. And that's how this is, because then it cuts out and it becomes a Bollywood sample. Hey, Kaytraminé, that's great. He is Canadian. I do think that Canadians are inherently more multinational because they have to deal with America, and also because everyone's a lot more compressed, a lot less spread out. So I think the relationship between immigrants of longer generations and closer generations, and actually of natives as well, is more common. So it doesn't feel like appropriation to me. Kind of a start and stop drum beat. Another one of these like clever cringe lines. I left my commitment in the rubber. You just sort of imagine him just like writing these lines. He'd be like, is this too much? And then just a room full of yes men being like, no, that's good. I think you should go further. What I like is he has this, when we're making the case for Aminé as being a great rapper, he is a great performer. He is a very good artist, right? So that's not in question. The question is like rap, like rappity rap. He does do interesting enjambment, like he did it previously about like he took like Anderson and then pack it in, so like he made a little enjambment there. Enjambment is when the end of the line is not the end of the thought, so it continues on to the next line. So his drink got me moving, my jaw, this drink got me moving like my jaw, like I'm Drew, bury more drinks in my stomach, a pool. So I guess Drew Barrymore moves her jaw a lot. Oh my God, you guys! I'm Drew Barrymore. That's a pretty good impression. But so Drew Barrymore, but then it's actually a homophone, which is words that sound similar. It's actually a multisyllabic homophone of Barrymore and Barrymore. Barrymore drinks in my stomach a pool. On the one hand, you have like a very good, interesting enjambment, an interesting image. On the other hand, you have him comparing his stomach to a pool, which is like kind of a, as far as a rhyme goes, like pool and Drew, like it's kind of sloppy rhyming. I can't figure out if he's good. Master P, featuring Big Sean. Why is it called Master P? I should know this. I mean, this is not my professional job. This is just a hobby I picked up in the lobby. I can't figure out why they called this Master P. So you can tell me in the comments if you want. Maybe it's super obvious. A backwards beat. Kaytraminé gives us a backwards beat. This is where his rapping style is the least whispery, which is great because it goes very nicely with the strong certainty of Big Sean. Great rhythmic interaction here on this beat. Great head-nobbing beat. One of these themes I don't love is like I can't hang around poor people. It's just a weird theme. It happens a lot. He talks about jarritos, like saying like he used to just drink jarritos. Hey man, jarritos are great. You ever have a tamarindo? Tell me in the comments if you ever had a tamarindo soda by Jarritos. You get yourself like a quality black bean and cheese with guacamole and like so much cilantro you can't taste anything else. Burrito, some chips, some salsa. I'm sorry, I'm doing this before lunch. I'm getting hungry. And then you have a tamarindo on the side. And then Big Sean jumps in to remind you what what a rapper is. There's no other way to say it. Again, that's the question. Is Aminé a great rapper? Is Hilary Swank hot? Is Aminé a great rapper? When you see Big Sean, you're like, oh, right, that's what a rapper is. And amazingly, Freddie Gibbs did not do that. And you'd think he would because he's such a great rapper. But he got so breezy with his verse. Whereas here, we just have Big Sean who just not only... And I'm not like a Big Sean fan. I appreciate, but he's not like my guy. But on this album, it's the best guest appearance on the album, the best guest verse, the best verse. It's like it's such a better verse than the rest of the rhyming on the album that they shouldn't have even had it. Because now you're like, oh, is this about rap now? Is this not just about chilling by the pool and very specific sex acts, mostly focused on cunnilingus, which is, if you're going to focus on anything, a positive thing to focus on as a feminist who's fighting patriarchy. We need more lyrics about cunnilingus, so A+ to Aminé on that. If you're going to be talking about sex, at least talk about that. But no, here Big Sean, B.I.G., like I got little C's in the back, great Biggie lyric. F FOMO ends on go mode. I'm still getting show money even when I no show, and I'm really Mr. Anderson. I'm dodging shots in slow-mo. Yalton's got no morals and no codes. I'm on murals and logos. I'm a goat though, and watch your tone because I got in a chokehold, and F you mean you couldn't catch me in slow-mo, and it's great. This is a great verse. Cool little outro that's nice. There's like a weird like sound, which almost reminds me of Big Fredia, which is sort of like we're maybe heading into more of the sort of house dancey mode here. But before we get there, we get Rebuke, which is this breezy guitar, just down and sweet. Summertime and the living is easy. Although, here's a challenge. Listen to this song and then immediately listen to It Wasn't Me by Shaggy. Got me a buck naked on the kitchen counter. I think if you put It Wasn't Me, which is a great summer jam, and then and a great catchphrase, but you take that song, I think if you interlace these two, like rhythmically and sonically, they work perfectly together. And then we have this sort of I Refuse, very Pharrell chorus, part ways like McCartney. It's funny because I guess he's talking about McCartney like breaking up the Beatles, but like John broke up the Beatles. And I guess maybe Paul broke up Wings, but like Paul was Wings. And then like he's sort of defined by his like not breaking up with Linda. I mean, I guess he did break up with his second wife because she was. Anyways, I don't get that line. What I love about this and the whole album is that it's all a vibe, you know? It's a vibe with no effing trap beats anywhere. No vibe music in this vibe at all. It's a breezy hip hop summer vibe that is not about it's not at all that. My impression game is on fire. I'm so hungry. I have to find a place that serves jarritos. Next song is called Sauce Up. Energetic bossa nova beat, which is cool. And then we get this like really Atlanta style slang of like sauce her up. Ugh. Cool, almost like Wii menu synthesizers. And then there's like a good sort of weird sex line here where he repeats, if the dick can't hang, the beat don't bang, which is kind of a funny hook. And this song sort of, call me if I'm lost, but I sort of think this has kind of honestly Nevermind vibes to it. Again, it's that sort of housey mode here. STFU3. One of my favorite things is I had a t-shirt that said STFU, and I showed it to my dad. He goes, Stufu. So this is Stufu 3. Great, simple, thin drum line, bloopy sounds that disappear. They almost sound like incidental. This sounds like you're entering a mysterious dimension on a TV show. Super simple beat, super simple rhymes. This can be exemplified by the chorus. P word, P word, P word, please shut the F up. Stupid mother effer, I don't really give an F. It's great. Oh my God, I sound like Ben Shapiro when I say P word. P word, P word, P word, please shut the F up. I guess this is empowerment now. I don't know where the clit is. No one ever asked me. I can't find it anywhere. I've looked all over my body. If she ain't flexible, I'm a split. More kind of sex stuff, but a little bit creative. That's where I like it, is when his sex stuff is more tied into his punchlines. Just multi-voices. Like, first time I heard it, I thought it was 3 different people rhyming on this song, and it's not. There's just him, and that's part of the greatness of Aminé, right? Even if he's not a great rapper, which it seems to be what I'm saying, he's such a great performer and singer that he's able to have all these different sounds. Next song is called Shana na na. Maybe that's the Master P reference. Now, the next song is called Ugh Ugh. Okay, just if you're tempted to dismiss this album, listen to the winding bass lines, almost a walking bass line. And this kind of everybody just jump, almost sounding like Puffy again. Maybe it's him. Great variation on this beat with the sustained keyboard. Kaytraminé's doing great stuff. I love this chorus, all about hustle and ugh, ugh, ugh. And then, hey, there's a White Lotus reference. That tells you who we're dealing with here, okay? So there's like levels of realness and fakeness, And one of the things that drives me craziest is when like rappers who are trying to convince you that they are real deal on the streets and all they do is make references to The Wire. It's like, dude, you can't call yourself Stringer Bell and then be like, I'm the real thing. I'm Stringer Bell. It's like, if you're a real rapper, you don't need to call yourself Omar. If you're like really in the streets, you don't need to do that. So I appreciate that he's making reference to an HBO show, but it's I'm Jennifer Coolidge, I was on vacay. That's funny. That shows the like how likable Aminé is. And he is like insanely likable. That's maybe another comparison with the Silk Sonic thing. It's just the likability. And that goes a long way, Look, Kaytraminé made a slap, call it Will Smith, rappers ain't my friends, they finna hate us like we was Chris. Here's my question to you, audience. Will that line age poorly, or will Chris Rock and Will Smith references always be funny and timely? Outro is almost like a semi-calypso vibe, which leads into the song I. Now, I is a weird song for a couple reasons. One, when they made this song, they were like, I don't know how they talk. Aminé's from Portland. What's a Portland accent? Kaytraminé's from Montreal. So I could do a Quebecois accent. No, we'll just stick in English. Hey, let's make a Prince song. Okay? You can tell they're trying to make Prince song. First of all, because it sounds like a Prince song. The pulsing synthesizers, the high voice, and the way that he uses his low voice is like that Prince charismatic, could seduce literally anybody, okay? Gertrude doesn't even need to go home to her house. Gertrude is already there. You hear Prince when he talks in that low voice, it doesn't matter what gender you are, what sexuality you are, you're down, right? And he's got that voice. And then also he's talking about I himself, but they spell it EYE, which I think is sort of a reference to the fact that he always used an actual picture of an eye whenever he would, in this bed I scream with an eyeball, right? And then also making a guest appearance on this is Sonic the Hedgehog, who gets hit a couple times, and the coins fly out of his body, and they use that sound a couple times here, which is nice. And then, of all the mysteries of the universe, why did they get Snoop Dogg on here? Like, talk about subtraction by addition. I sort of get it that, I mean, they're not, Snoop Dogg doesn't bring people to this project, right? If you're a nobody and you pay Snoop Dogg $800K for a feature, that makes sense because someone will at least go, oh, well, Snoop's on here. But Pharrell's already on here. You don't need another big name to come here. Who gets drawn to this project for Snoop? So if we establish that he's not on there for legitimacy, then it means he's there for an artistic purpose. Now, rhyming, he is totally just, God bless. Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer used to come and speak every single graduation at the school where I teach but do not represent. And he gave the same speech every year, and it kicked ass. It's one of the greatest speeches I've ever seen. And if you happen to have seen one of his speeches, go for it, is how he'd end it, and it was perfect. You hire Snoop, he's going to say 5 or 6 different phrases that will alternate depending on what you ask him to do. He's going to say your name, probably for an extra couple thousand, and then he's going to leave. Figured I'm going to be a bigger man on this. Kaytraminé, I ain't really plan on this. It's like, man, plan, he already rhymed, tried, and lied. I stand on this, 10 toes in the dirt. Okay, so that's his new thing. He's going to say 10 toes. Half a century, feel the pimp in me. He's just phoning it in. And mind you, I am a Snoop fan. Stacey Adams, I think, is secretly the best Snoop Dogg song, if you've never heard it. We stay on point like Stacey Adams. I still cannot eat pistachios without singing that song. But I think the reason Snoop's on here is because he is now associated with lightness. He is now associated... It's the Corona commercials. Corona. Distributed by Constellation Brands out of Rochester, New York. Big local employer. Because he does those commercials with Andy Samberg, I think maybe he's sort of becoming sort of a summer, ooh-wee, fun-time guy. I think having him on here is not for credibility. It's for the opposite. It's for denying credibility. K&A is the final track. Guys, why did you do this? You're confusing me now because this is now like a better song than the rest of the album. It's just as breezy, but the rapping's better. And even the production's better. This song is so much better than the rest of the album, and I like the rest of the album. It's like this great like Jermaine Jackson sample. Where did you find that? It's totally the best rapping by Amine on the album. This is the stuff that I heard on Limbo that made me think this guy was a great rapper. Lou smoking Gabagoo, past that pick and roll, and then some gross sex stuff. Found solace in promises kept by bees who swallow my children. But this is what's interesting. He's not talking about sex in a positive way. He's talking about how he uses sex to avoid his problems, how to divert himself. In the Pascalian sense of divertissement, he was using women to avoid confronting his own issues and his own mortality. Great. You want to talk about sex in that way? I feel the same way about drugs. You can talk about weed 10 songs, and if on the 11th song you address the fact that you're self-medicating and trying to get over some kind of childhood trauma and you don't have the courage or means to seek more professional therapy or get more helpful help, that's totally fine. That's what he's doing here. And then the second verse, leases on your chain, your ego got an ego, now your ego got a chain. This is great. Where was he the whole time? This is great. This is so much more substantial while still being breezy. This is the best version of the album. I don't give grades, right? So if you're looking for grades or notes, I'm not going to give them. But this is like this is like when you're grading a paper and like the student's doing fine and you know their capability, and so you're going to give them a good grade, and then like on one of the essay questions they just blow it out of the park, and then you have to go back and retroactively grade the other ones a little bit harsher because you realize, oh, they've been coasting, they actually have this in them. Then there's a great beat change, and then just like this great vocal histrionics in the back, like There's this great like breakup on the beat to match the rhymes. My biggest haters who didn't make the lead, sold out dates, seen over 7 seas, Bluetooth connected to 1,000 SUVs. Like, what a great way to describe his influence and his power, and all the stuff about other rappers. B word, I'm Calvin Klein, and you Kenneth Cole. Is that difference without distinction? Or distinction without difference? Is Calvin Klein different? Is Calvin Klein considered better than Kenneth Cole? I don't know. Y'all talking like equals when you know you Smeagol's? Is he talking about like the? Oh my God! I think I have a Smeagol thing up there. Oh my, the guy from the Trixie guy from Lord of the Rings. My precious? Is that what he's saying? I don't know. It's funny. But all in all, I really enjoy the project. I really think it's quite good. And I can't find my Patreon cards, so you're going to have to give me a second. Holy cow, I got a ton of new Patreons who want to watch that Woods video. I haven't had time to write your name down, but don't worry, you're going to get a shout out in the final. So I got to make a new list because I got 26 new Patreons, which is awesome. So thank you. You're helping me to buy music. So there you go. What did you like, Kaytraminé? Have you sat through this all and you're now thinking that was actually a great joke and you want to tell me in the comments? All right. Until next time, there's the camera.